I fuck up a scale like I'm overweight. I'm catching these sales like I'm on the lake. I'm making these wakes and waking them up. You chasing the wave, well homie, good luck. I'm hunting these hundreds.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Awkward Situations, the series where you guys put whatever you want in the comments, usually awkward situations or whatever else is on your mind, and then I talk about your comments in these episodes. Someone made a comment on a recent Awkward Situations episode that I was reading the comments of, and they're like, you should change the title of the series because it's not all awkward situations. And I would change it if I could go back in time, because now it's like a built-in search result, and this is the same for shit from last week. I would also change the title of that video, especially considering YouTube's current day policies. But you can't just change the titles of stuff because of how the algorithm works. I mean, I could, but I would lose views. And I've tried that before, and it didn't work out so well. So that's an explanation of what this series is. I think I said that in the next episode of Awkward Situations too, which I already recorded. This is kind of weird, but I recorded 2 Awkward Situations episodes at a time again, like I did the last time I made these episodes, and I recorded the one that's going up next week before this one. So my mind's all over the place. I'm sorry. Right now I'm scrambling to get ready for E3, but we're going to start today's episode with 2 updates, so it's all good. We got updates, and we don't have to worry about the stress. The first update is in regards to a brother who has a sister who is getting married to a future brother-in-law of his that he does not like. He says he's a douchebag and all of this stuff. This was 2 episodes ago from the episode that you're currently watching, and the update, I basically said to cut him some slack because weddings are stressful and, you know, you don't have to be friends with this person, but hopefully it works out. The update was, hey, Joel, I appreciate your input on my situation. I'll do my best to cut him some slack while also dishing it back to him. Yeah, because he said that he felt bullied by the older person that she was getting married to. He already was in his 30s or whatever, or late 20s, and had his life set up, and this dude is just an 18-year-old and his older sister's getting married, so he felt kind of like, you know, he had an older brother coming into his life that was kind of picking on him to fit in with the family or whatever, which isn't cool. I guess I'll give another thought into being in the wedding, but I'm still not too sure. Oh, he also said he didn't want to be in his wedding party. I suggested that he just suck it up. Anyways, thanks for the advice. If anyone else has some advice, feel free to reply to this comment. I'll be watching my notifications. Yeah, so I would say you should try to be in the wedding party. Again, unless this person is a douche, to which beyond a place that I could comprehend, because it's going to offend your sister if you're not in the wedding party. So something to think about for the future of your relationship with your sister. This next update is from a situation that happened, I believe, 1 episode prior to this one. Creepy classmate, or it may be 2 episodes again. I'm not sure. I should set that up before I actually read these. This is from a dude who said that he got into a math competition in his school. He's really good at math, and he bragged about it. Then he got to the math competition. He got his ass kicked by people who are younger than him. So he said, thanks so much for the advice on the math competition, Joel. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the grand prize was a full ride scholarship to one of our state colleges. Still heartbroken, but I've definitely taken it as a learning experience. For a lot of us, we got to learn the lesson of not always being the best at things. So those are the 2 updates. Sorry if that went on kind of long. Let me get to the first awkward situation right now. I went to visit my parents, and my sister was with her friend at the house. She is 15 and her friend is like 14. My parents weren't home yet. And when I came into the house with my keys, I went to put the food I bought into the refrigerator and went into the living room around the corner. I saw my sister and her friend full naked on the floor on a blanket going at it. I slowly back out and made a bunch of noise like I just got there so they would notice someone was there. What do? Now, I usually try to avoid situations that involve somewhat sexual implications for people under the age of 18. But this is more like a family situation, so I don't feel too weird about it. I would say that clearly teenagers experiment sexually. You know, this is, I guess, a natural thing. Girls, I gotta tap into my, tap. How do you tap a keg? I'm a really beta male. You just jerk out that beer out of the fucking keg. I would ask my 3% female audience or less, has this ever happened to you? And if so, explain in great detail in the comments if you're above the age of 18. The funniest part of this situation to me is imagining him walking in for the second time, pretending he just got there, making a bunch of noise, like slamming the door. Hey, I'm home. Anyone having weird sexual relations in the house? I bought food, and throwing shit at the wall and just say, oh, wow, look, now they're not in the living room anymore because they scurried off and heard me walking in. So obviously it's awkward. I would just not address it. I've never had anything like this happen, but I think this is going to be something that you can laugh about together at Thanksgiving in 2034, because you might want to save this one or just never tell her. You can be the judge. You're better at knowing your relationship with your sister than I am. If it was my sister, I feel like it's something we'd laugh about in future years. But also, I have a different relationship with my sister as an adult than I would at 14. I feel like I didn't even really know my sister then because I was so busy in my own high school stuff. And I don't know. I'm overthinking this very awkward situation. I'm glad you got it figured out. I don't know about the whole walking in and making a bunch of noise play. I'm surprised I didn't hear you. They must have. When you say going at it, I guess you mean they weren't playing Nintendo Switch together. They were really focused. But I hope just compartmentalize that. Therapy if you need to. If you saw something you didn't want to see, I'm sorry. And I hope you get it figured out, my man, and you can laugh about it in the future. Let's move on to awkward situation numero 2. Hey, Daddy Joel, I've been having this problem. My friend owes me a couple $100s. It's been 6 months, and he hasn't paid me back, and the amount increased over time. I'm getting real tired of him giving lame excuses. He can't hold down a job for a long time. He also uses me for rides every often. Since he doesn't have a car, he's always in need of money and favors. I helped him get back with his girlfriend after he cheated on her by paying for chocolates, but every time we hang out and smoke some kush, he never throws down and I end up losing money. He calls me almost every other day to take him somewhere. I just haven't been picking up because I really don't want to do anything for him anymore. I would really love to get paid back, but honestly, I don't give a shit about him anymore. Please give advice. Well, it seems like you're already coming to this conclusion, but this is the world's shittiest friend. I'm sure there's examples of shittier friends, but this is a bad one, for sure. He's leeching off of you for rides. He cheated on his girlfriend, so just douche in general, and then you buy chocolates to give. He can't even afford fucking chocolates? You could, make chocolate. If you live in a warm environment, get some cocoa leaves and just, grind that shit up and make the fucking chocolate and give it to her. You gotta buy them for her? How much is a candy bar? He could have bought one candy bar and chopped it up into pieces and put it in a heart-shaped box. This guy is a douche, so you shouldn't be with him. He's in a relationship with you. You shouldn't be friends with him, And as far as money is concerned, did you say he owes you multiple money? It seems like you keep loaning him money, or you've loaned him money more than once. I'm looking at the situation. I can't remember if you said that. But my personal rule about loaning money to people is, I am not a credit card. The credit line you have with me is the amount of money that I already gave to you. So if you already owe me money, I don't give you any more money until I get that money back. And the speed at which I get that money back determines how much money I will give you the next time, if I give you any money. That's my personal thing. I'm pretty generous, especially with friends and family. I like to help people out, I think. But I have been burned in the past, taken a long time to get some money back that I loaned, and my parents were like, hey, just a little life lesson for you. Don't do that. Be really careful with loaning money to people, because money is one of those things that can affect personal relationships for years. If someone owes you money, I don't know what you would call this psychological effect, but you just, like you said, you don't give a shit about it anymore. You start to really resent that person and, hate that they're not giving you this money back, this money that you earned and you gave to them as a favor, and they're not giving it back. I've taken a long time to get money back before I eventually did get it back. And then I can think of another situation in my head where I wrote off a bunch of money. I was in a roommate situation, and I moved out first, and the roommate caused a lot of damage to the room. And I could have made a big fuss about it and pursued, I guess, civil court charges and been like, I want him to pay his fair share. But he was a douche, and he just up and left, and I didn't hear from him. He ghosted on me. I couldn't get a hold of him on the phone to be like, hey, we got to pay this money. So I just paid it, and I'll never talk to that person again. Sometimes you got to write speeding tickets for friendships or relationships in your life, and it's a fact of life. You want to try to avoid it if you can. But I totally understand you not giving a shit about him anymore. I would get this cancerous person out of your life as fast as possible. Hey Joel, I have a really strange problem that I need help with. I've had this friend for a couple years now, and we had good times hanging out and doing things together. We were pretty close, so when he told me he needed to tell me something, I thought I could deal with it. That's when he told me he was gender fluid, but at the same time, I didn't even think about it. After about a month, we had to create a story in school about one of our life situations. He made a story and present to the class about the way he felt, but by the end of the story, he came out and said he wanted to be bisexual. At this point, I started to feel kind of strange with him because of his feelings. After about a week, he wore a dress to school. It was at this time that I felt like I didn't even know him. I also have never said a word to him since then. Seriously, not even hi. It's been 6 months since I said a thing to him, and now we are into summer. I really miss being with the old him, but even now, when we see each other, it's just awkward. How am I supposed to cope with how he feels or deal with it so it's not awkward when we see each other? Thanks for taking the time to read this long life story and for the help. If anyone else has advice for me, I would really appreciate it. So I've never dealt with a situation like this, and this is one I want to be really careful with because I know people have feelings about things like this one way or the other, and I want to come at this from the angle of a friend changing. And more specific, because that's how I can relate to it. I've had people I felt really close to, and then they've changed, and it's hard to deal with that. But this, I'm going to kind of, fix it at the end so it's a little more relatable to your situation, because how I relate to it is I had friends who got into drugs, and I didn't get into drugs. So we kind of came apart that way, just had traditional childhood friend, and he got into some drugs and shit. His siblings were into that, and he got into it as well. And we just drifted apart, as you do. I didn't want to really go over there if I know what's going to be happening at the house, so I just stayed away. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't ruin my life. I don't think he ruined his life. I think he's doing okay, but, certainly isn't curing cancer anytime soon. And that's something that happens naturally in school. You'll drift away from old friends and find new ones because of certain things and interests. But yours is kind of interesting because this is someone you thought you understood, and they're not necessarily doing a negative thing like drugs or doing something that could be toxic in your own life. Like I got out of a situation with friends because I was worried about how it would affect my life. This kind of doesn't affect your life. I guess it changes your perspective of your friend. And I think it would be interesting if you could have a conversation with this person to just know how they're feeling. I have never had a friend in my life who has come out as transgender or wanting to be transgender or gender fluid or anything like that. I have friends who are gay, but I knew they were gay when I became friends with them. And then I actually had a friend in elementary school who wanted to we were like trying to figure out games. I've said this on Awkward Situations before, but we were trying to figure out games we wanted to play one day at his house, and he's like, let's just take all our clothes off. And I was like, I'd rather play fucking Monopoly, but you do you, bro. So I don't know what's up with him. He might be gay. And I was really good friends with him. And I mean, we went to different schools after a while. So that I didn't, I was still chill with that. I was still, even after the naked stuff, I was like, you're still cool. You got a fucking Nintendo 64 at your house, so we're still chill. But I liked him for more than the N64. Had a great dick too. Anyways, and then there was another girl I had a crush on in high school, and I found out recently that she likes at least ladies, maybe men and ladies at the same time, but you learn these things. And I'm wondering why it changed your opinion of him. Is his personality I don't him or her, I don't know these people, so it's not offensive. But I'm just gonna say his, because this is your perspective of this person, and you view him the way that you first know him, because you said you wanted to see the old him. So I'm wondering, it seems like you're not even talking. It seems like you don't know, if that much has changed. Like, I like my friends on the internet. I didn't even know my friends before they met them. Like, Speedy could wear a dress every day when he's playing video games with me. I might not even know, but he still talks the same and acts the same. So if you were blind and you couldn't, if you couldn't see him wearing the dress, would you notice a difference? Is he into different things now? I would just say, I think it would be nice for you to reach out with him to see how he's feeling. I'm sure this has been a difficult time for him in his life, and very confused, and all of these complicated feelings that I've never had to deal with in my life. And I think that he might appreciate that. Just reaching out and saying, I'd love to know how you feel. If you want to talk to me, if you don't, I understand, because I haven't really been there for you. But if you don't want to reach out, I would say that's okay too, because people drift apart naturally, even just without events like this happening. So I'm sad you left it on those kind of terms. I feel like my advice is either, intervene or suck it up, but I guess that's kind of the only two options. It's a difficult situation to deal with. I hope you get it figured out. Last awkward situation. Hey, Joel, this is kind of a weird question, but what type of mindset would you have knowing you are the underdog in a competition? I run track for a D2 high school, and I barely qualified for the 800 meters by being 6 out of the 6 accepted. I know this isn't your specialty, but how should I go about thinking about this? Should I be happy I made it or expect to not do well or not care what place I come in? Any advice / comments will be appreciated. Thanks. I really like this comment, and I like that you said that you are the underdog. You're coming in with the underdog mentality, because I think that's a really great mentality to have in life. That could stray a little too far, and you could go from maybe an underdog mentality to a victim mentality. I'm always behind, the world's against me. But if you can just stay in that mode of underdog mentality, I always want to work to get better. I see my competition and I want to improve in any facet of life, not just track. I think that's a great mentality to have. I really like the Michigan State basketball team. And I live in, the Lansing area, and Michigan State's my team since I was a little kid. And the coach, Tom Izzo, seems to have an underdog mentality. They always seem to do better than they're expected to, unless they're expected to do really well, and then they underperform. So I like when they're underdogs. This next season, they're going to be ranked pretty high. So I'm nervous for that. But I like having the underdog mentality myself. I feel like that's how I got a lot better at YouTube. Just from a competitive standpoint, my friends and I are all competitive people. We all played sports in high school, and besides sidearms, but he's a goofy goober. We love him anyway. And it's something we talk about, being competitive, and we feel like it helped us to get better at YouTube. I wanted to do YouTube to have a creative outlet, but at the same time, I wanted to do YouTube because I was watching a bunch of YouTubers, and I thought, this isn't so hard. I could do that, and I could do it better than a lot of the people that are currently doing it. And it allowed me to grow and helped me grow to look at this milestone like, oh, I'm going to pass this person next week, or I'm going to pass this person in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited to pass that person. And then eventually people start passing you, and that's a whole other thing. I feel like you're in a great position because there's a lot of pressure when you're expected to win. You have zero expectations. You can go to this race as hard as possible, and if you lose, you were supposed to lose. So it's not a big deal. I don't think it's going to be so crushing for you. It seems like you're already kind of expecting that. But if you overperform just slightly, if you finish, I don't know how many people will be running the 800, maybe 6 to 12. If you finish placed even higher than you were expected by just one place, that will feel like a great achievement for you. And I feel like you're in a great spot, dude. To have the underdog mentality and to really embrace that is a beautiful, beautiful thing in life. And once you achieve any type of success, it's kind of hard to get that back. I don't want to make it too much about myself, but my biggest issue on YouTube in the past was that I got this, every time I get a little bit of success, I feel like I get really complacent. And that's true for a lot of people on YouTube, or just in any facet of life and business and sports. But it's really easy to, it's not easy, but if you can really embrace that underdog mentality, I feel like it makes the grind that much easier. But then once you taste some success, you can get complacent. So I would really embrace that underdog mentality. I hope you do well in your race, and I hope everyone out there, embraces being the underdog and just do well in your lives, people. I love you. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching this episode of Awkward Situations. I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.